What's up, everybody? Welcome back. So we're about to do a day 3 progress report. Well, I guess it should be considered day 2 because we're just going into day 3, but this is where we're starting at on day 3 in Path of Exile 2. So I'm currently in the second act, which is monster level 22, the zone that I'm in. My character itself is, I believe, 25. And let's see what skills I'm using, what my passive tree looks like, and then my gear. Now, I am by no means a exceptional Path of Exile player. I've been playing Path of Exile for a very, very long time. I've been playing ARPGs for a very long time, but I've never killed a pinnacle boss. I've never been able to down Cirrus. I've never been able to do the true, real end game of Path of Exile. I'm simply just not practiced, not good enough, but it's fine. I play this game because I enjoy it. Path of Exile 2, the difficulty, not really the complexity, but the difficulty of the game has ramped up a lot. You have to play very differently than what you would on either Diablo 3, Diablo 4, Path of Exile, any of those games. And I realized that very early on and kind of restructured my build to work around that. So one of the biggest things is you're going to get swarmed a lot. It's very annoying. It's very punishing. Trying to dodge roll out of those situations is typically not the best route. For those types of things, something like this. I use Ice Nova. Something like Ice Nova is going to allow you to cast an AoE that will push the enemies back. It has a knockback to it. And it also can freeze them, slow them. That's all great. So when you push them back, that could give you the opening you need to get out of there. Figure we'll pull this up and just look at it. So that is kind of my defensive layer. My primary attack is Spark. Spark is what I use mostly. When I know that I can get away with it, I throw down Flame Wall and then I Spark. This is going to increase the damage that your Spark is doing, and it's also going to give it the chance to ignite the enemies. All fantastic, great things. On Flame Wall, I have Persistence, so it stays out for longer. And I also have Fortress, so it makes a circle. It's a lot easier than trying to position just a line, you know, horizontal or vertical or diagonal, and cast your spells through it. When you're able to cast it in a circle, it casts right on there. Let's say the boss, you know, he's going to be standing in one area. Just, you know, try to give him the old, whatever that graph's called that I can't remember right now. You know, Venn diagram. Give him the old Venn diagram. Like I said, when your flame wall's up, your spark or any projectile that you send through it will get increased fire damage. On Spark, I have Pierce and Arcane Tempo. Got to get that cast speed so you can dump them as quickly as you can. This, it does look like it's less damage, but you're going to be killing the mobs in the back of the pack also, so your clear speed goes up a lot, even though the damage is a bit lower. Arc is another good one if you want to switch it around and use it for bosses. I really like this build. Is going to be hopefully focused into almost strictly lightning at the end of the game, but this is what we're looking at now. I don't have Arc on my bar. I don't really use it, but I love the spell. So Arc, I would connect. I don't even think I would connect it with that. I don't know why it's still in there. Ignore that. It's good, but I'm trying to go on a crit focus with this one. And then Chain. Chain is the most important one. I'd probably do Chain and Arcane Tempo. Those would be the two I would put in here. Ice Nova, we already went over. With Ice Nova, I have Glaciation. This is, the freeze buildup is 50% more. That's great. The reason that you're having this out is to hopefully freeze the enemies. And then Frost Nexus. Chilled grounds for 4 seconds when they freeze an enemy. So not only are you freezing the enemy, but when you do freeze them, you're also laying down a sleet of ice for the enemies to be slowed as they're trying to get to you. Frostbolt is a nice one to have, especially when you have like mobs in the back of the pack that are kind of slow moving. You can send out your Frostbolt and then you can Nova off of it. And that, I mean, as you see, that's nice. You know, it's a very good clear technique. I think a pure ice build could be absolutely amazing. A little bit into Act 1, you'll be able to get, I don't know exactly what these are, but they're the buffs. They're buff gems. I got Summon Raging Spirit. Summon Raging Spirit is incredibly overpowered, especially when you get a couple support gems on it. So Fire Infusion, supported attacks gain 25% of damage as extra fire damage. It's not gonna show what it's doing. I'm hoping that just takes their standard damage and just makes it more fire damage. So essentially 25% more fire damage. And then here, minions from supported skills explode when reduced to low life, dealing 15% of their maximum life as fire damage. Now, they don't actually die as often as they just expire, but when they do die, that's a very, very nice thing to have on it. Enfeeble's going to allow you to put out a little bit more damage on the boss. So when you can get Enfeeble out, it's very, very costly, but when you can get it out, it's a nice little thing to have on the boss. Makes them take a bit more damage. Just make sure you're aware of the delay. Orb of Storms is just on there because I was trying it out. So that's my current skill setup and what I'm using, the way that I typically use this build. So I think there's probably some monsters over here. I'll give you a little example. And just like that, you know. And when you've got mobs that are on you, obviously, you know, you Nova, you throw out some cold stuff. Cold damage is good damage, and that's kind of the basics of it. As far as the passive skill tree, it should seem pretty standard for a lightning focus or caster witch sorceress starter. So I followed this node up for the spell damage. More spell damage, more intellect, cast speed, which in turn means more spell damage because you can pump them out quicker. Crits, because I want crits. We've got lightning penetration, which is fantastic. Getting more damage out. Up here, 40% increased chance to shock and gain lightning damage as extra cold damage. I am working on getting over to this one. This looks really fucking cool too. And that one. And then I'm also going to be working down here so I can get this little trifecta. I figure with the 3 elements that I'm using, and it's not that many points off the beaten path, eventually I want to come down here and get the life. So I figure I can pick these up. It will increase my damage. I'm hoping that this 30, 30, 30 stacks. If that's the case, then when I dump my Wombo combo of, you know, Flame Wall, which will have the SRS attacking them, Ice Nova, and then just start dumping sparks on them, that should be 90% increased damage, which could be absolutely insane. At the very least, it'll be the fire and the lightning. Hopefully it's good. We got a crit node, not a crit node, an additional projectile node right over here. Like that's, yeah, let's do that. Let's send out even more damage. I'm not too sure. I haven't looked too deep. I kind of try to keep a more focused path on the skill tree, and I'll update more as more info comes out. Oh, we got more lightning pin over here. Cold damage. You know, it's a very interesting tree. I've tried not to overwhelm myself with it, so I just kind of focus on, if this is where I'm at, let's look at the passives that are close. If there's any of them that look good or don't look good, then let's move over a bit into kind of more of what I'm looking for. So take it step by step. You know, I want to rotate into full crit and lightning, so I see lightning's up here. Can start look for that. You can also search, you know, search for crit. All right, we got crit nodes here. We got crit nodes over here, but those are for minions. Minion crit, minion crit. A lot of minion crit. Elemental damage if you've critically hit recently. Plus 20 crit chance. That's amazing. Like all these damage pin, it's fantastic. Like, and this is just looking at crit. Don't overwhelm yourself, okay? Take it step by step, look for what you need to get, and there you go. And as far as gear goes, so Exalted Orbs are amazing. I just made this. I picked this up, it was white. I threw an Alchemy Orb on it, and it did the Strength, Intelligence, Fire Resistance, and I think 13% Evasion. And then I hit it with 2 Exalts, and I got maximum energy shield and 53 more to maximum life. So that made my life jump up by a lot. That's fantastic. But the gear right now, this is just a spot holder. It needs to go back in the inventory so I can sell it. We got a wand. Does good spell damage, some cast speed, gain 3 mana per enemy killed. Cool. That sounds great. The maximum mana, sure, it helps. We've got 1 ring over here, fire resistance, life, and life regen. Life and lightning res. As you can see, my gear's not good. Health, int, armor, life, cold res, regen. Life recovery from flasks, armor, health. You know, nothing super great on here except for the necklace that I just made, which is pretty nice. But this stuff is all, you know, just random stuff I found while farming. Look at that. Nice little upgrade while making the video. But that's my progress report. We will hopefully progress into Act 3 today. I think the point that I'm at in the game, I should be able to get into Act 3 today without too much difficulty. I've been one-shotting most of the bosses that I'm coming up against, not killing them in one shot, but in one try. And it seems to be working out pretty well. You know, when you're able to get that ignite on them, when you're able to slow the enemies and get out of sticky situations, while at the same time just dumping loads and loads and loads of lightning damage, it works out pretty well. As I've said before, this game, it's not gonna be an easy game. I said that before it came out. I never played the beta. I don't know. I have a knack for these things. I looked at Diablo 4 for years when they were announcing stuff and said the game wasn't going to be good. I was hoping that it would, but I figured it wasn't. I didn't play any of the betas or get into anything early with this game, but I could tell just by looking at it, this is going to be a completely different game. The difficulty level is going to be insane, and that's what we're seeing. But you just got to figure out how to make it work. It's not a game that you're just going to be able to go in and slam your face against the wall and complete it. You know, it's not Diablo where you can completely ignore your defenses and your positioning and everything like that. Like, you've got to pay attention to every aspect. See what your character can do. The game's not too hard. Don't expect them to scale it down. Just keep pushing. You got this.